It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, yet care more about their opinion than our own. You wake at dawn, staring at your screen, hesitating before you post. That tiny cursor blinks like an enemy scout across your mind. Your heartbeat matches the retweet count rising on someone else's post. Should you conform or rebel? That moment is not trivial. It is a battlefield, and the tyrant you're battling wears no crown, but his chains are heavier than any iron you've ever known. The tyranny of public opinion is an invisible empire that rules your posture, dulls your voice, and wraps you in chains of silent consensus. You bow your neck, not out of strength, but out of fear. Fear that your bold words, your truth, might shatter the polished illusion. Yet when you stop bending your neck, that crown you wear has zero weight. The throne was always yours. You hesitate because you fear rejection. You mute yourself to fit in, but every second spent waiting for permission is a betrayal of the battlefield within you. The most dangerous moment is the one just before you speak your truth, when the enemy's whisper becomes louder than your own conviction. That moment is where the empire grows. Strip away its power, name it. It is the tyranny of public opinion. Under its rule, you remain a subject, safe, but powerless. Not caring is the war cry you sound when you reclaim your throne. You place your sovereignty inside your mind, not outside in applause or agreement. Your thoughts become your kingdom. The slightest echo of someone else's approval does not shape your borders. Your will draws them. You stand on that battlefield, unseen by them, but unshakable in your mind. The cost of failure, a cage built from your own hesitation, shackled by what others approve. The reward of discipline, to sit as sovereign on a throne nobody can touch, crowned by clarity alone. Crown yourself in silence and bow to no one's verdict. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. You sit on the throne of your own mind, but every whisper of doubt or fear is a traitor in waiting. Under the guise of fitting in, you grant the throne to imposters, others' opinions that masquerade as your authority. That is the pretender king. In Asher's experiments, intelligent people, staring at clearly unequal lines, chose the wrong one simply because the group did. That was the mind surrendering its throne, letting a foreign crown sit. Fear of judgment makes you abandon your sovereignty. Every time you mute your voice to avoid scrutiny, you surrender territory within. That's the silent coup. Twitter, meetings, conversations where your truth waits behind a curtain. You've let the court of public perception stage another assassination. In modern life, you scroll through praise for others while your own voice grows faint. The cost of silence is more than regret. It is abdication. Yet sovereignty is not granted. It must be seized. The coronation ritual is simple but fierce. You stand before the mirror and call yourself king. You crown yourself with conviction, not waiting for others to herald your worth. This is a metaphorical coronation. You load your thoughts with armor and your intention with a sword. You claim authority not with applause, but with unwavering presence. So here's your battle plan. Do not let imposters sit behind your crown. Speak your truth before public murmurs. Drown your voice. Refuse to silence yourself to fit in. Instead, place your crown upon your mind first. Claim authority from within. If you fail, you become a puppet king, ruled by whispers and silent rulings. But if you act, if you seize the crown, you become sovereign. You reshape your destiny, not by steering through approval, but by ruling from conviction. Crown yourself, bow to no one. It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret. You wake at dawn. Before the world stirs, you stand alone in the prelude of battle. But if you let the first light catch you scrolling, seeking validation, you have already lost. Your mind becomes reactive, blinded by notifications that strike before your armor is on. That is an ambush at dawn. The buzz of your phone, the flood of opinions, it's a guerrilla invasion targeting your clarity before you even draw your sword. Each ping is a skirmish in the war for your focus. Napoleon knew the power of momentum. He built rapid campaigns and triumphs by striking before the enemy settled, by owning the initiative. He believed that waiting forfeits advantage. Your morning is no less. That hour before others awaken is your first victory. In that silence, your mind sharpens. In that stillness, you steel your will. You seize the field, not with applause or likes, but with ritualized solitude that claims territory no distraction can reach. But lurking in the corners of dawn are unseen enemy patrols. Doubt and anxiety. They slip in when you hesitate. What if they judge? What if you fail? These are guerrilla fighters of the mind, infiltrating your confidence while you linger between thought and action. They whisper that your voice is too raw, too exposed, too flawed. If you do not hunt them down early, they warp your will into hesitation, into surrender. Here is your battle plan for the dawn. Wake and stand. Do not feed your mind to the notification swarm. Begin with intent, not reaction. Your morning is forward momentum. Strike first. Create your ritual. It can be silence, with intentions, or writing your priorities on paper. Own that hour. This is not indulgence, it is war. Through discipline, you seize the day before it has a chance to seize you. Hunt the doubts. Name the whispers. Burn them with certainty. If doubt enters, confront it immediately. Do not let it marinate. The cost of failure. Your mind becomes territory lost, occupied by fear, by others, by noise. Your battles throughout the day are fought from behind enemy lines, weakened and compromised. The reward of victory, sovereignty at dawn. You build unbreakable momentum. You become the general of your own life, strategic, intentional, untouchable. Win the hour before you need to fight. It is better to keep your mouth closed and let people think you are a fool than to open it and remove all doubt. You weaponize stillness in a world drowning in noise. Silence becomes your armor, your blade. Each pause a strike forged in intention. In negotiation, the well-timed silence unnerves your opponent. It shifts them from reaction to reflection. They start to question themselves, to reveal more than they meant to. You hold the quiet, control the tempo. You own the moment. Imagine Cold War leaders in tense meetings. They lean back, speak nothing, and let the absence of sound become the loudest message. That silence is a tactic, a psychological pause that unsettles, that forces the other side to fill the void. It's not just peace, it is power. You stand in the shadows, watching. You don't need to announce your move. You let others make the noise, expose their weaknesses. In that stillness, you see names slip. Doubts show through thin veils of composure. You are a predator, observing prey, waiting for the slightest tremor. Silence was the arsenal of monks and warriors. Stoics shut their mouths to steady their minds. Samurais sat in stillness, zazen to sharpen focus before the dawn of battle. Their silence was not retreat. It was discipline, preparation, dominion. Your commands are simple. Hold your tongue as long as the world demands words. Let the quiet be your battlefield. Watch, learn, strike in the silence. If you speak first, you expose your center. If you fill the void, you lose control. But if you stay silent, observe the tremors of those who speak, you gain everything. fail to wield silence, and you become entangled in others' noise. You become distracted, misled, exposed. You become prey. But master stillness, and the world becomes yours, its pulses known, its flaws revealed. Use silence as a sword and shield. Command without uttering a word. Dominate through quiet. Silence is your sharpest weapon. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. You stand in your court, the throne of your mind exposed, not by enemies with swords but by well-meaning voices disguised as friends. The opinions of others can strike like hidden daggers. These are your assassins in disguise. They don't look like threats. They smile, they say they care, but each suggestion to play small, each judgment wrapped in concern, is a blade aimed at your sovereignty. You must see clearly. Those voices are not kind. They are sabotage. Every urging to fit in, to soften your edges so as not to offend, is a coup aimed at your empire of self. You must cut loose these assassins. Their opinions are not currency in your court. They are poison. When you let them stay, they rot your conviction. They make you question your direction. You feel weaker. You become a puppet. But what if you banish them? Picture a court purged of silent saboteurs. No whispers in your ear. No hesitation seeded by others' fear. That is the exile from the court. It is ruthless. Yes. But sentimentality toward weakness is treason against your empire. Beyond metaphor lies history. Machiavelli did not advise wounding threats. He urged eliminating them altogether, so no revenge could ever take root. If you strike lightly, the wound festers, and the enemy returns stronger. Crush the threat swiftly. That is the principle of power. Now, knock them out of your hall. Remove the voices that tilt your will. Do it clean. Do it now. If you delay, your throne becomes a puppet's controlled by whispers, not conviction. You lose territory, fragment by fragment, to fear and obligation. You surrender to others' agendas, and your path becomes their script. But if you act, if you execute these weak alliances, your court stands solid. Your throne remains unmoved by the tremors of approval or rejection. Stand up. Remove every silent dagger. Crown yourself with clarity, not concession. This is your command. Eliminate the weak. Silence the saboteurs. Rule your mind with sovereignty. Banishing weakness is your first conquest. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. You rise in the silence of dawn, your mind still fogged, but your posture already a signal. You may feel doubt, hesitation, uncertainty, but what matters is not the fear inside, but the armor you project to the world. That armor is your mask of command. You wear it not to deceive yourself, but to shape how others perceive you. The mask doesn't hide weakness, it conceals vulnerability, giving you space to wield power. Roman generals at the forefront of battle mastered this. Julius Caesar crafted his image meticulously. He crossed the Rubicon, uttering, "The die is cast," not merely to signal intent, but to embody certainty. His armor and demeanor communicated dominance to legions before a single sword was drawn. Your mask is no different. You humble your inner doubts and place your armor of authority across your chest. Let your posture say you're not negotiable. Look at predators. Lions don't roar when terrified. They move with deliberate slowness, shoulders squared, eyes locked forward. Their calm, unwavering gaze forces silence. They don't need to growl to dominate. This is the predator's gaze. You command by posture, not by panic. Let your shoulders lower and tail not just wag, but stand firm. Let your eyes lock, not as an invitation, but as a warning. Imagine entering the ring of life with that same quiet armor. You walk in, head held high, voice steady, doubt trembles at your entrance. Judgment hesitates at your gaze. You are the fortress, impenetrable. Acting invulnerable is not arrogance. It's strategy. It convinces the world to respect or retreat. Shields up, no cracks. Here's your battle plan. Stand tall. When you doubt, project steadiness. Let your stride be deliberate. Speak with the weight of certainty. Let the world guess at what you feel. Make them respect the mask. If you expose every crack in your armor, you lose armies, faith, support, opportunity. People sense indecision and they leave, or worse, they manipulate. But command your image and you command the field. Rise, place your armor, project unshakable will, even if your heart trembles beneath. Let them see the mask, they'll follow it. Authority is armor, wear it without apology. It is a common defect in men not to reckon on storms in fair weather. The storm inside you is not always rage, not always fear. It is the quiet hunger for approval. That craving is the most subtle assassin you will ever face. It whispers when you speak, asking if your words landed well. It lurks in the pause after you act, scanning for applause. This craving is a knife in the dark, and if you don't strike it first, it will carve away your strength, piece by piece, until there's nothing left of your will. Think of the moments you've betrayed yourself for the smile of another. You held your tongue when you should have spoken the truth. You bent your back so someone else could stand taller. You agreed when your soul screamed to disagree. That is people-pleasing, creeping like a shadow across your battlefield. It feels harmless, even noble, but every concession made for approval is a dagger slipped between your ribs. History is stained with betrayal, and none more infamous than Brutus against Caesar. The knives of the Senate cut the flesh, but Caesar's final words, "It too brute," revealed the deeper wound, betrayal from within his circle. And here is your truth. Your Brutus is not outside. It lives inside you. Every time you betray your own judgment for applause, you are the one driving the blade. That self-betrayal is more lethal than any enemy. Armies cannot defeat you if your will is iron, but a single fracture from within will shatter your empire. The way out is not begging for less betrayal. It is forging a sharper blade. You must replace validation with mastery. Imagine your compass no longer pointing toward applause, but toward skill, toward progress, toward power sharpened day by day. Approval becomes irrelevant when excellence itself is your measure. You do not ask, "Do they see me?" You ask, "Did I sharpen my edge today?" You do not wonder, "Do they value me?" You declare, "I forged myself into value." Picture it like a duel in a dark corridor. On one side, the assassin of approval whispering, seductive, begging you to lower your guard for acceptance. On the other side, your inner killer, silent, focused, eyes cold. The duel is not won with hesitation. You must strike first, kill the craving, and you walk forward free, blade dripping with the proof of your discipline. Here is the law of survival. When you stop chasing validation, you become the one who grants it. The throne shifts beneath you. Others seek your nod, your recognition, your presence. Authority is never handed to the one begging for approval. It belongs to the one who no longer needs it. This is your command. The next time you feel that knife in the dark, the craving for applause, the pull toward pleasing, recognize it as betrayal. Do not negotiate with it. Do not reason with it. Kill it on sight. Turn back to your craft, your discipline, your mastery. Let mastery be your compass, not applause. You have one enemy to execute before all others, the traitor within. Betray yourself and you fall. kill the craving, and you rise. Approval is death. Mastery is survival. The wolf that wins is the one you feed. Inside your mind, two wolves circle. Not fables, but living metaphors for destiny. One is soft, craving approval, comfort, the familiar applause. The other is silent, fierce, forged in self-reliance. You stop feeding the sheep inside you. You stop feeding the weak wolf. You feed the predator, the wolf that stalks. You know that story. It's told in many forms, most often as a parable of two wolves, good versus evil. The origin is unclear, but its point is sharp. The wolf you feed defines you. That's the truth. The sovereignty of your inner empire is decided by which instinct you nourish. Feed weakness, and you become prey. Today's world offers a fast diet of validation. Instant likes, comments, echoes of approval consumed like sugar. That is the diet of strength denied. Instead, you must hunger for rigorous ideas. You must gulp down the thoughts that challenge you, the books that burn your assumptions, the challenges that sharpen your edge. This is your diet of strength. It is cold, it is hard, but it forges the predator within. Empires rise when leaders feed ambition, not doubt. Look at history. Those who built realms from nothing. Alexander, Qin Shi Huang, Roosevelt, they focused not on the whisper of critics, but on the feral roar of possibility. They nurtured conviction. They were starving. That's how empires are built, from relentless ambition, nourished every day, not from the comfort of consensus. You stand at a crossroads. One path leads to softness, a steady decline toward irrelevance. The other is brutal, but alive. Feed the predator, sharpen your instincts. Let your ambition sit at your table every morning. Let discipline be your meal, and master your drink. Let doubt starve in the cold. You must choose. The world is full of sheep who whisper their fears through your mind. Do not feed them. Hunt them. Turn inward to the hunter. Train it. Trust it. Let it lead you. Do not become what you feed. Become the wolf. Feed the predator within. It is not titles or applause that command the battlefield. It is strategy forged in silence and foresight. Life is a chessboard. Every move matters. You're not playing for applause. If you play for approval, you trade your queen for pawns. Every decision must serve strategy, not emotion. Imagine sacrificing approval like sacrificing a pawn. Sometimes you must yield short-term recognition to secure a long-term advantage. You remain in control. That decision isn't weakness. It's mastery. Grandmasters train under pressure. Even when the crowd watches, they detach. Their focus is not on who's watching, but on the board in front of them. Pressure becomes leverage, not distraction. That's how real victors move through life. Hubris has destroyed armies, leaders blinded by vanity, Führer's insistence on hallmarks of power, generals refusing to listen, have led nations to ruin. History is littered with those who lost not to enemies, but to their own need for praise. Pride cost more than soldiers, it cost empires. Now hear this. Your life is a battlefield, and each choice is a piece on the board. Stop playing emotionally, make every move calculated. When approval tempts you, treat it like a pawn. Sacrifice it. If it wins you greater ground. Detach from spectators. Do not need approval to act. Move in silence. Guard against vanity. Do not let praise fool your strategy. You are not here to win applause. You are here to win the game. Win the game, not the crowd. It is not titles or bulk that shape a ruler. It is the steel forged in ritual. You stand before your day as the blacksmith before the forge. Without ritual, the throne of your mind remains soft. The noise of life seeps in like corrosive rain. Only self-discipline, practiced daily, hardens your will into unbreakable steel. Imagine a blade, glowing red over the fire. Each morning, each deliberate action is one hammer strike. Cold showers, pre-dawn silence, writing your plan before the world awakens. These are not mere habits, they are tempering rituals. You emerge sharper, tougher, ready for the battle no one else sees. Let your day begin with intent, not impulse. Choose discipline and steel your mind. Look to the Spartans. Their boys entered the agoge at the age of 7 and would not emerge as merely men, but as living weapons. Cold, hunger, fatigue, they endured without complaint. Pain was their tutor, and discipline their religion. To them, weakness was exile. Discipline was identity. Your modern comfort is their enemy. In every substituted indulgence, you erode your throne. Reject softness, embrace ritual. And now, in our age of endless notifications, likes and noise, chaos is the default. Without rituals, you drift. You become prey to your device, to distraction, to every ping that snaps your focus away. Micro-habits become your battlefield. Lay out your gear before dawn. Turn off the noise. Make your rituals your territory. Seize them, command them. You face 3 truths. First, the forge of daily ritual turns chaos into dominion. Second, Spartan training taught that discipline, not nature, shapes the warrior. Third, modern distraction is fatal. You must ritualize your disciplines or surrender your throne. So stand and forge. Temper yourself in the fire of morning. Train pain into purpose. Guard the ritual that shapes your day. You are not the product of your nature. You are the blacksmith of your will. Forge your will. Rule your day. It is not titles or bulk that shape a ruler. It is the steel forged in ritual. You stand alone now, crowned by your own stillness, untouched by praise or criticism. In the world's storm of opinion, your mind is stone, and the sparks launched at it bounce off harmless. That is the Stoic fire. Insults, gossip, slander, they burn bright for a moment but cannot scorch the bedrock within. You stand silent, unmoved. Their noise collapses. You remain. Consider the predator in the wild. A lion does not care for the bleating of sheep. It does not bend toward approval, does not pause to applaud or placate. It moves forward because it is sovereign in its domain. In the quiet plains, the lion's presence commands respect, not through words, but through existence. You must be that predator. Let every judgment, every whisper fade. Stand untouchable, your silence a roar. And there is the crown of solitude. The true king, the one who sits unaccompanied, is the hardest to dethrone. When others depend on the court, they hold your strings. But when you rely only on the throne inside, there is no lever to pull. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reflects how solitude and inner strength dissolve the sway of external forces. The throne in your mind is strongest when it stands alone. Now feel the stakes. If you allow external noise to reach you, your edge is dull. You become brittle, reactive, exposed. Every slur, every doubt cast your way rattles your foundation. But if you harden yourself in solitude, if you become the stone, the predator, the silent king, then nothing outside can breach you. You become sovereign in the absolute sense. Nothing touches you because nothing exists that you grant power. Here are your commands. Do not bend toward noise. Build your inner stone wall. Let insults slide like sparks on armor. Be the lion in the desert, unmoved, unprovoked, commanding by presence. Embrace solitude as your throne. Stand without dependence, anchored only by self-rule. Fail, and you become prey to every moment's sentiment. Rule, and you become invincible. Stone unmoved, lion at peace, throne unshaken. It is not the well-being of the people that makes a prince secure, but the strength of his own power. This is the final form, the place where every principle, every battle, every metaphor collides into one transformation. The battlefield, the throne, the predator, the chessboard, all merge here, inside you. This is not a theory anymore. This is the sovereign self, your rebirth. Understand the stakes. Caring about the noise of others is not simply weakness, it is spiritual death. To bow before opinion is to kneel before 1,000 masters, each pulling you in fragments until you no longer exist as one whole. But sovereignty, true sovereignty, is to rise above it all, to exist as something rarer than human, a ruler not ruled, a weapon forged from willpower itself. Think of the battlefield you've crossed. In the beginning, you fought for scraps of approval. You cared for applause like a soldier cares for rations. You moved emotionally, not strategically, and every cheer from the crowd felt like victory. But those cheers were hollow. They distracted, they dulled your edge. The sovereign of the self cannot move like that. The sovereign plays not for the crowd, but for the crown. The throne was next. A throne is not inherited, it is hardened. Every ritual, every discipline became iron hammered into your will. Like tempered steel, you built yourself in fire. Without those rituals, chaos seeped in. The enemy disguised as distraction, infiltrating your kingdom. You learned the lesson: discipline is dominion. Without it, your empire collapses. With it, even silence bends to you. Then came the assassin. You discovered the battlefield of perception. You realized not every blade comes at you openly. Some cut from the shadows, betrayal, slander, envy. Here the sovereign does not whine. He does not beg. He counterstrikes with precision, calculating like a master of war. He knows the assassin is not the threat. The failure to anticipate him is. And the chessboard. Every move became strategic. No more throwing queens for pawns just to be liked. You learned the grandmaster's detachment, how to sit in silence while the crowd chants for your failure and still move with precision. Vanity kills kings, strategy crowns them. Now all of these threads tighten into one rope. The predator, the king, the chess master. These are not separate masks. They are the final form of one being, you. You who no longer kneel. You who stand sovereign in a world that wants to shatter you into pieces. Look to history for proof. Marcus Aurelius sat on the Roman throne, surrounded by enemies, rivals, and noise. Yet in his private writings, he revealed the truth. The only kingdom a man must rule first is his mind. Rome could burn, legions could fall, but the sovereign of the self remained untouchable. Now picture the hypothetical predator. A lion surrounded by jackals. They bark, they circle, they taunt, but the lion does not answer. The lion does not even look. Its very indifference is power. It knows the throne is not won by reacting to sheep. It is held by remaining unshaken, unmoved, untouchable. That is sovereignty. That is you. But do not mistake this for cold indifference. It is not about caring for nothing. It is about mastering focus so completely that you care only for what feeds your crown. Your will becomes a blade, honed to cut through distraction, temptation, and weakness. That blade slices away everything unnecessary: applause, opinions, validation, leaving only strength, silence, and sovereignty. The cost of failure is clear. If you slip back into caring, you descend into chains. You return to the prison of dependence. You drown in the noise of the mob and lose the clarity of the throne. But the reward is absolute. To master yourself is to become untouchable. To walk through the battlefield of life unscarred by insult, unmoved by slander, unbroken by betrayal. To stand as the rarest of creatures, one who bows to no one, not even to the court of public opinion. Now take the commands. Rule your inner kingdom. Harden your rituals until they are steel. Guard your moves like a grand master, sacrificing approval when necessary. Strike like an assassin when attacked, but never reveal weakness. Stand like a king in solitude, knowing the hardest throne to topple is the one rooted in the self, and above all remain the predator in the desert. Untouchable, sovereign, feared not for reaction, but for stillness. This is the new species of human, not a servant, not a seeker of praise, but a sovereign, and sovereignty cannot be given. It must be taken, built, hardened, and worn like a crown no hand can touch. You are no longer a piece on the board. You are the player. You are no longer one voice in the crowd. You are the silence that commands them. You are no longer human as they define it. You are something more. Rule the self, command the world, kneel to nothing. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. And now you understand why. To live for love alone, for applause, approval, validation, is to live in chains. To live feared is not about others trembling before you, but about the aura of sovereignty you project when you no longer kneel to opinion. It is the fire of indifference, the steel crown of self-rule. You have walked the battlefield of distraction. You have seen the assassins of doubt, the temptations of the mob, the poisonous whispers of envy, and you survived because you learned to stop asking permission. Every time you looked for approval before acting, you were lowering your blade, handing over your throne. That weakness is gone now. The sovereign does not beg to move. The sovereign moves, and the world adjusts. Think of the masks you've worn. The smiling face at work, tailored for acceptance. The quiet agreement in conversations you disagreed with, all to avoid judgment. Each mask was a chain, each performance a surrender of your crown. Burn them. Let the ashes rise. Because the sovereign is not an actor in the theater of approval. He is the director, the king seated above it, unmoved by the cheap laughter of the crowd. This is not cruelty. This is not arrogance. It is ruthless sovereignty. You do not seek to dominate others. You refuse to be dominated by their chains. When someone insults you, you remain silent because their words are wind. When someone mocks your ambition, you remain steady because their vision is small. When the mob tries to pull you back into mediocrity, you walk on, because you were not born to kneel among them. The modern world thrives on weakness. Social media trains you to crave likes. Corporations train you to seek approval from managers. Even your friends and family, often without knowing, tie you down with invisible threads of expectation. Burn them, not out of hate, but out of sovereignty. Because your crown cannot share a head with their chains. Now you stand crowned upon your inner throne, untouchable, beyond insult, beyond mockery, beyond the desperation for applause. The world will try to drag you back, but the sovereign never bows. Say the words with me now and burn them into your mind as law. Your crown is invisible, your throne eternal. Rise and never bow again.